broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on episode 10 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I am Tom, and of course, Trevor and Damon are here. What's up, guys?
How are you? Can't believe it's episode 10.
I know, episode 10. We can't, we got all these listeners. It's crazy. I can't even believe it. Feels like we just started this thing, which we kind of just did, but
I mean, it was March when we started, right? Like it was
actually early April. It was like end of March. Yeah, we kind of started. Like I think our first episode was April 3rd. I want to say.
Yeah, I think you're right. So that's pretty quick though.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly it's gone, but we love that all you people are listening to us, and every time we get an email from one of you, it just warms our hearts. So lots of great Disney topics to talk about today, including a new area in Hollywood Studios, some new DVC discounts, which I'm sure Trevor and Damon are excited about since they're heading down there the next couple months here, and some upcoming changes at Disneyland that were announced at D23 that we didn't get to last week, because if you listened to our last show, you know it was a pretty long one. So it's pretty much the equivalent of a Flight of Passage line, so about 2 hours. So if you're waiting online at Flight of Passage, you can just listen to our last episode. It'll help you pass the time.
Perfect.
Was that?
We're thinking of you.
That's right. We're trying to help you guys out here. So, and especially Damon. Damon, you can wait in line and listen to your own voice. So
I have a fast pass. I'm good for that.
Well, before we get into all that, not to shift gears awkwardly, but we kind of got to start off on a sad note, and that was. The sad note is losing legendary Imagineer Marty Sklar at 83 years old last week. And I don't know about you guys. I know Damon. I know Trevor. You're a big Imagineering guy, and I'm assuming you are too, Damon. But this one, was kind of a bummer. He's one of the last Imagineers left that worked with Walt from the beginning. There's not many left of those guys.
Yeah, and again, for me, it kind of it hit a little because he actually was involved in building the Matterhorn, which is that's one of my early childhood memories, and just knowing that, seeing somebody envision that, and everything that he's done, right? It just you can see his vision through the park, and it's really it's sad, but yeah, he did so much to move Disney forward, so it's really great that they're honoring him. And
who's the guest? Wait, we have a guest?
That would be my dog barking.
He's upset about Marty too.
Yeah, he's sad too.
Yeah, and you're totally right, because Marty was one of those guys that literally he touched every single thing pretty much at all the Disney parks. And for those of you that don't know about the kind, some of the things that he contributed, he had kind of started out as almost like an intern, and for back when Disneyland, about a week before Disneyland opened, and he after he graduated, and he was also kind of writing a paper. Newspaper for Disneyland called the Disneyland News, and in 1956 he started doing the park's publicity and marketing materials. He was also a speechwriter for Walt Disney, so a lot of the stuff that you heard Walt Disney say on TV was actually written by Marty, which is kind of cool. If you're a fan of the Enchanted Tiki Room or It's a Small World, he was very much involved with those. So many different things that he was a part of. Later in life, more recently, he was he was an international ambassador for Imagineering. Of course, he was the head of Imagineering for a really long time. So he was the head of Imagineering. So pretty much everything that Disney pumped out for a long time was under his watch. And he also was the international ambassador for Imagineering. So he'd actually travel the world. Recruiting students, art students, design students, engineers, and things like that. He's one of the few people that actually he was named a Disney legend. He also has a window at Disneyland, which that's the coolest thing ever, right? What's more of an honor than having a window at Disneyland? So that's a really, really cool thing. that he was a part of. He's also been at the opening of every single park, basically. So he's been at the opening of every single park around the world. And I just want to read this quote really quickly, and we can talk a little bit more about him here. But this is from former Disneyland International Chairman Jim Cora. Later said of him, quote, "He understands the Disney way because he learned it at Walt's knee. He's the keeper of the keys, the conscience, the Jiminy Cricket for the organization," which I just think is a really cool quote.
Yeah, and like I said, that goes back to, his influence over everything, right? It's yeah. I don't even know how to put it all into words.
Yeah, I mean it's really sad and disappointing. I mean, but he led a really long, amazing career, and it really all we have left is kind of Bob Gurr's there still, and he wrote a nice little thing about his colleague, and there's not too many Imagineers left that really worked with Walt Disney, which is really sad. So anyway, anything else you guys want to say about that before we move on to the next topic? I know it's kind of a bummer topic, but I feel like we'd be kind of remiss if we didn't start the show talking about that. So
I think the only thing I would say is, for as sad it is his passing, keep in mind that he had a huge hand in the next generation, which we're seeing now. So, like you said, it's the fact that that people who had direct contact with Walt are becoming less and less. At least we know the next generation is on the right path.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And he helped recruit a lot of the I almost said engineers, the Imagineers that we have now. So, and he was such a big part of that. And pretty much anytime you go to a Disney park, he had his fingerprint on that. So yep. So, R.I.P. to I almost just said Bob Gurr. My goodness, Marty Sklar. He was born in 1934 and died just last week. So Damon, not to again awkwardly switch off of a sad topic into a different one. You are about to go to Disney.
I am. So I'm going to Hilton Head first, and then I'm going to Disney for 4 days. Only going to the park for 2 days. This is the first time I think that I'll actually have non-park days. So what we're looking to do is I think we're going to do Disney Springs the first day, I think. I think we'll kind of drive into town, do Disney Springs, pick up my free watch, hopefully, if there's still any left, and do some dinner. And then we're going to...
Where are you going to go to dinner?
I haven't decided there. There's some new sausage place or something. I saw a sausage place. I was like, well, I don't understand what that's about, but I might have to, do something like that. Usually we're like a Wolfgang Puck sort of people, but I don't know. I saw some new sausage place, so I don't know. That may be us. I'll let you know how it is. And I'm not really too concerned about that dinner. I'll be there for my birthday, so I'm actually, going to be in the park on
your
my
golden
birthday.
button? Are you going to get your golden button together?
Be there.
Yep.
I'm going to make my own. It'll be a golden button, and I think that night we'll be in Epcot, and I think we'll do one of the Italian restaurants. Again, since I'm not in New Jersey anymore, good Italian is tough to come by. I think we'll do that. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. And then the other day we're going to Pandora and Yak and Yeti, obviously. So that's kind of our trip. The thing I'm most excited for, though, amazingly enough, is not Pandora. The thing I'm most excited for is that my 7-year-old daughter will be going on Expedition Everest for the first time. And we're all looking forward to that.
Well, that'll be a nice moment.
Yeah, that's special.
I think number 2 would be I'm looking forward to the food at Pandora. I'm kind of curious about that now. For me, that's probably one of the highlights again. I'm sure the other 2 rides are wonderful, but, as we talked, I'm not on this VR kick lately. And, I don't know how it's going to feel. We'll see. We'll see how Flight of Passage does. I'll have an opinion when I get back for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and definitely we'll want to hear that. And so, and really, food is definitely a good reason to hang out there too, right? To kind of preview into one of our topics coming up is there's a few places you can get 30% off that you may want to check out as well.
And what's interesting is that this is also probably the first trip where I'm going to be a little cognizant of money. Again, we were not planning this trip. normally I go to Disney and it's like, oh, whatever, we're going to Disney. Scan those bands. We'll deal with it after. We'll deal with the aftermath of it after. I don't really concern myself too
Get
much.
that huge bill as you're leaving. Like, how did I spend all this money?
But this time I'm a little tapped because this was an unplanned Disney trip, and I have my $1 million Disney cruise in October, which is kind of putting a little bit of a damper on the wallet. So this will be interesting. I'm gonna I don't know if there's such a way to really do Disney on a budget, but I'm gonna try a little bit harder to take advantage of some of those discounts that we'll be talking about next. That's for sure.
You know what you might want to look into, Damon? I saw that there was just and I unfortunately don't have this in front of me, but and I don't know if you saw this, Trevor, but there's the restaurant that's in Pandora just is coming out with like a sampler where they have like a bunch of their different stuff.
Well, that'll be interesting.
I don't know how much.
Yeah.
We're a very picky family. Let me rephrase that. Me and my son are really picky when it comes to food. So, actually, both of my sons. So that sometimes the samplers are a little tough. We don't do fish or beef. I'm
with you. Actually, I don't do fish or beef either. So I feel you.
It's too bad. I can't avoid beef. I live in Alberta, Canada. Like cattle's our thing. So
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
You'd be ostracized if you didn't eat beef.
It would be hard to find food.
So I think for my non-park days, like I said, the first one will be Disney Springs, 2 days in the park, and I think the last day we're just going to hang out at Boardwalk. Like I think I'm going to try to revel in the experience of Boardwalk. That's kind of my game plan.
I'm excited for you to check out Boardwalk. I think you're gonna dig Boardwalk. Definitely make sure you get ice cream at Ample Hills because Ample Hills is awesome.
Okay, that sounds like a good thing.
They do
as
ice cream.
As long as it fits in my budget.
Yeah,
gotta fit my budget.
Yeah, it's Disney priced, but it's.
Remember, I have 5, not 2.
Well, you know what I did? They do ice cream flights there, so you can choose I think I want to say 6 flavors, and they give you a couple small scoops of each.
Yeah, I could do that.
You should. I got it just for myself, and I was walking down the boardwalk, and it's melting everywhere because it's hot as the sun there pretty much, and it's just melting all over my hand, and I'm trying to eat it as quick as I can. I felt horrible afterwards, but it was delicious.
What is? I don't know if either of you guys saw that video earlier this week. Somebody posted there's a place that does a ice cream sundae called the Kitchen Sink. I don't know if it's it's either at Boardwalk or Beach Club. I think it might.
I think it's Beach Club.
Yeah.
I saw that.
That's ridiculous.
I don't do hot fudge either. I can't do that, and I don't like my ice creams to mix. There's something about ice cream. Listen, it's got to have its unique flavor. Otherwise, you're ruining the chef's vision. That's how I feel.
That's kind of why I like the flight because it's
I can agree with that.
You get a couple of the different flavors, and
were
they
they
don't
in
really
cones?
Mix.
You said
no. So they put it in this egg crate looking thing.
Okay,
it's kind of weird.
I'll have to check that out then.
It's really kind of that's the best way I can describe it. It's like a clear plastic egg crate basically, and they put and they give you a decent amount. I think it's $9 too. It's fairly cheap for how much ice cream they give you. Mm-hmm. But it's you can get
and where was that at?
That's at Ample Hills. It's right on the boardwalk.
Okay,
yeah, and so that's a good idea. And I would also recommend too at Disney Springs. We ate at Homecoming. Homecoming was awesome.
What kind of food?
Like southern. Yeah.
You mean where I live now? What I can get every day?
But apparently really good Southern because the guy who the head chef was is he an Iron Chef?
I think he was Oprah's personal chef or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, he was Oprah's
Smith?
chef. Yeah.
Yeah, Chef Art Smith.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're known for their fried chicken, and I had their fried chicken. It's delicious. It's really good.
That again, like I said, that's a little tough for me because we come from an area that has all that good food.
Fair enough.
And I'm missing out on that Italian food. But you have me already looking at the menu as we speak. So
they got a lot of moonshine themed things there too. So if you're into moonshine,
Oh, that looks See, again, I'm sure it's great, but I've just had everything that. Except the fried chicken and donuts. That does sound pretty interesting. But besides the fried chicken and donuts, I feel like I've kind of gotten a lot of this in the area. So I might have to skip this one, but for everyone else that's not living in the heart of the South, this is a pretty interesting menu, that's for sure.
Well, that's what's funny to me. We never do barbecue when they're there because it's we're surrounded by barbecue all the time. It's it's never going to be as good as it is here.
Exactly.
And you see, I can't get Southern food around here, so
Amazingly
that
enough,
actually
in Canada,
sounds,
huh?
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to
Well, I
get
can't get
Southern food
poutine
in
around here,
Canada.
Trevor. Okay.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So yeah, I'm very interested in Homecoming.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. It was really good when I had it. Really enjoyed it. So that sounds like you have a pretty good plan in place there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, again, it should be interesting. It's going to be coming at the end of another trip, so we'll see how enthusiastic everyone is. But
Well, but you're coming off a relaxing trip and going to a mostly relaxing trip, right? Because you only have 2 park days.
yeah, but here's the thing. Normally we go for such a length of time that, as everyone well knows, running joke, right? Like, I'd be in bed by now if I wasn't doing this. So if, when we go to Disney, like, we're back ready to go to bed at 7:15, all joking aside, because we'll get up in the morning, do the park, and do whatever. Now, the problem that we're having for this trip is because we have no park hopper. We just did 2 straight days at the park. I don't know how I'm going to accomplish that. So I don't think it's going to be relaxing for me, but it will be enjoyable from the aspect of trying to see everything we can.
So are you
Especially
going to
in
try
Animal
to
Kingdom.
see Pandora at night then?
I mean, I think you almost have to, right? Like, I don't think...
It's a big selling point, and I mean, you guys haven't seen Radiator Springs at night, but I mean this is supposed to be next level of that, and Radiator Springs was amazing. So
yeah, I think we'll have to do it. I think our game plan is actually to rope drop the river ride, Flight of Passage. I think we're fast passed in the morning sometime, and then go back to Boardwalk for a little bit, and then try to go back at night. Because again, there's not too much there that I need to do. Right, Cali River Rapids. Maybe Bilge Barge is better.
Dinosaur?
Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the problem that I have with dinosaurs, normally we go to Disney with other people, right? That's always been the case. Either my parents, my friends, somebody. At this point, I'm going to be there with just my family, which is fine. But if my daughter doesn't want to do dinosaur because it's a little scary, right? We're kind of stuck. So that's where, like, I'm not rushing to do that because I know what that, what that means for a 7-year-old, right? So I've been on it like 30 times.
Though after the last
still
refurbishment, it did change a little bit. So
when was the last refurbishment?
fairly recently, they did. I mean, when
Within
I say
a year?
yeah, it was probably, I don't know, Trevor, if you can think off the top of your head, but it was probably late last year, I want to say.
yeah,
Because I was there in June.
Yeah, that was before the refurbishment. So,
But is the refurbishment like new storyline or just...
no,
they
just touch-ups and
But they added a couple new effects in there that, like, made it a little better. And then at the end, like, for the longest time, the dinosaur at the end, not to spoiler alert for everybody for Dinosaur, but they try to scare the heck out of you at the end with that big dinosaur.
Yeah.
Well, they fixed it, and now it comes, like, it gets really close to you now. It gets way closer, and it's way scarier than it used to be as far as that end dinosaur goes. So
Again, so as I just said,
yeah,
I'm not rushing to do that with my 7-year-old.
I've got lots of fun, terrified pictures of children in the car behind me.
So because we were just there, and because I already have my next year, actually, it's looking like 2 weeks for us. I'm not really in this big sort of, craziness factor for the parks because we were just there and we're going again. So I think that if we do Pandora and Expedition Everest, I'm kind of okay with that. I might try to do a lot more eating. You know what I mean? On a budget, though, but I don't know how that's all going to work. I don't know. We'll have to check back in to see if I can make my way home with gas money, because maybe I won't be able to. I don't know. Maybe I'll be stuck there forever. And then actually, if it was relaxing or not, it'll be interesting.
And it's funny, like, we're actually approaching our trip similar to yours, Damon, in that a lot of our days, our plan is to, get there early, do a whole bunch of stuff in the morning, and then when it's the hottest part of the day is go back to the hotel or just go, have some downtime through the afternoon and then go back in the evening so that you can actually do the later stuff.
I wish I could nap. I wish anyone in my family could nap. We're not nappers. I think people
Really?
that nap like win when at Disney for sure, because I can't do it.
I'm not a napper either, but I mean, I was going to say you could always take a nap on Ellen's Energy Adventure, but that's you're going to be so excited.
I'll be crying too much that I won't be able to.
Are you just going to tell your kids, like, oh, you guys go on Test Track and Sora, and I'm just going to hang out on Ellen all day?
So what's actually while I'm there, there's a couple things that are ending, right? We have the Great
Ellen.
Movie Ride.
Yeah,
Great movie ride.
Is
in
it
LA.
just those two?
Yep. But you also have the new Mission Spaces opening the same day that Ellen is closing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just don't know if I'll do that. Like, again, I'm not a
Should check it out at
sort of
least.
person.
The thing is that the green one has changed too, so it's actually a different sequence and everything. So even if you're not keen on getting on the orange one, you could at least do the green one and see how that is.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I guess.
I mean, might as well try it out, right?
Not a lot of excitement there. I'll try it out when Tom goes on Rock and Roller Coaster.
Maybe once it becomes the Monsters, Inc. door coaster, I'll go.
Again, I'll be shedding tears when that happens.
I thought you were okay with that idea. When we
I'm
talked
okay
about
with it, but I really like Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be the
Yeah.
same coaster. It'll just be a different theme.
Yeah.
Kind of like that one in California Adventure that got turned into a Monsters Inc. ride.
Exactly. Except not, I
Better.
mean, you know, it wouldn't be replacing the worst ride that Disney's ever built.
True.
What do we? We're for those that don't know, we're referencing Superstar Limo.
Yeah.
Which, again, Trevor made me watch, and now I can't unsee, and it just hurts my feelings. I feel like I can't even, like, name a park that should be at. Like, it's like at a carnival, maybe. Carnival.
And
The boardwalk.
and that's exactly why I linked it to you, is that it was a highlight of this is what happens when your Imagineers don't actually get to do the ride. And for anyone out there, Google Superstar Limo, watch the video and see probably the worst Disney ride ever, and be glad that it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I mean that barely lasted a year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it
yeah, it
was a little over a year, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because when I was doing some research, about Marty Sklar, I saw in an interview he said that he was actually really disappointed with the first iteration of California Adventure 2. So, like, he actually admitted, he said, "Yeah, I was kind of disappointed with how that turned out." And I was like, "That was interesting."
Yeah. That says a lot.
It does. I was really surprised to hear him mention that. But also, not to go back, but really fun fact about Marty Sklar. I know we're going back here a little bit, but I thought this was kind of a fun fact. I'm reading a book actually that I bought about the Haunted Mansion, and one of the cool things about Marty is very early in his career, Walt Disney had kind of already decided that he was going to build the Haunted Mansion, and kind of had come up with this concept of like a retirement home for ghosts. And he basically went to Marty and said, "Hey, make me a sign that says, about advertising a retirement home for ghosts." This is before the ride was designed. This is before they even knew what they were going to do. And Marty designed this sign, for a retirement home for ghosts that was sitting where in front of where the mansion would be. For a long time. And I just thought that was kind of a funny story that Walt Disney randomly just came up to him and was like, "Marty, make me this sign for a retirement home for ghosts," with no context whatsoever.
And he just went, "Okay."
He was like, "Okay, I'll make it." Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So anyway,
one thing, Damon, on your trip that I realized too is, if you're talking about, you're worried that you're not going to be relaxed. Worst case scenario for your Epcot day, you can send the kids off and you can just go hang out in the DVC lounge.
That is true, too.
Yeah.
That is true. My kids aren't old enough to kind of be out there on their own, though. That's the problem.
fair enough.
I
How much trouble
what
could they
is
really
that?
get in, though?
Well, see, that's an interesting question. How old do you have to be run around Disney with no parent?
Actually, I think they changed that. It used to be, or at least at Disneyland, because they have it happen a lot more because there's a lot more locals. It used to be 14, and I think they bumped it up to 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm furiously Googling this.
Yeah. I know they changed it a few years ago. It was
I got 14 is what's coming up here. But that's
mine's 13, so it's not even
quite
there, even if it was 14.
not there. Yeah.
All right, so what discounts can I get? Again, that's the second part for me.
Let's talk about discounts, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
this is perfect
important
timing for you guys.
Yep.
So where's this list of select restaurants?
Yeah, so actually I've got the list right here. So basically, for those of you that don't know, Disney just recently, or DVC I guess, recently just announced that there will be some extra discounts available for AP, for annual pass holders, as well as DVC members. So for all the way up until September 30th. And these restaurants would be Jico at Disney's Animal Kingdom, Flying Fish at Boardwalk, The Wave at Contemporary, Citricoast at Grand Floridian, which is one that I like a lot, the Grand Floridian Cafe at Disney Grand Floridian Resort and Lodge, Olivia's Cafe at Old Key West, Boat Rights Dining Hall at Port Orleans, Turf Club Bar and Grill, my goodness, at Saratoga Springs, Artist Point at Wilderness Lodge, which if you've never eaten at Artist Point, that place is awesome. Definitely eat there. And then Captain's Grill at Disney's Yacht Club. So there's a couple options there for you. And by the way, there are time restrictions on this. So they are raising the discount from 20% to 30%, but you have to go to dinner before 6:30 or after 8:30.
That is not a problem.
Yeah, that's easy for me.
I'm like a 4:30, 5 o'clock sort of dude.
Yep.
But,
I'm with you there, Damon. That's...
Wait, but there's some sort of dress code situations though.
Well,
just
pretty
so
much
we're
all
aware,
of these are quote resort casual.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Flying Fish, and khaki slacks, jeans, or dress shorts, and collared shirt. Sports coats are optional.
Well, it said dress shorts, right? So you can rock shorts.
But collared shirt.
Collared shirt. So
That could be a polo, though, right?
Oh, I mean, it could be, but I'm saying is normally I don't go to the park with a collared shirt. I don't know about you.
I'm all about T-shirts, so that's a stretch for me too.
Yeah,
So I gotta go change to go to this place. They might have lost me even for 30%.
That's a pretty decent. I mean, that's a discount, though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You should go to Jico. Jico's awesome. Although you said you're not a very adventurous eater. So.
Yeah,
And I've been there. I have no interest.
I would like Jico. I love like Asian and like Indian food and stuff like that. So
yeah, that one was an adventure for me.
I'm looking at the Flying Fish would be the only one that would kind of fall into my purview, and it's all fish and veal, and guess what? I don't eat any of them, and wagyu filet. So 30% off. Maine lobster is still pretty pricey, but
Still a lot of money.
yeah, there's nothing there that I would particularly eat, but the desserts look awesome, which kind of hurts my feelings a little bit. So I don't know. What is this under the sea with chocolate and coral sponge and pistachio sand and dehydrated milk foam?
I kind of love the fact that our podcast has turned into talking about desserts off a menu.
I'm okay with that.
I'm always okay with dessert talk.
This Flying Fish dessert menu is, top notch here. Cherries, peaches, and seashells. Like, man, I might just have to go and be, excuse me, I don't really want anything from the entree menu, but I'll take 3 desserts.
So will you go there with a collared shirt just to have your dessert?
Ooh, that's very interesting. Now, this is actually at Boardwalk.
Yes.
Yeah, it's literally like one of the
so
closest
that's
restaurants to the boardwalk.
Like
Can
downstairs
I go
for you.
Here's the real question. So, again, I won't throw out actual numbers here, but these entrees are quite pricey. I could get 4 desserts for an entree price. 4 desserts.
I mean...
Could I do that? That's the big question. Chocolate banana Napoleon, definitely check. This Under the Sea, definitely check. Cherries, peaches, and seashells, definitely check. Now it's a toss-up between the Panna Carpa and the Florida Reef, which is some sort of toasted meringue lemon tart. I might be able to do it.
And like you said, the fact that you're an early eater like me means, you go have your dinner somewhere around 4:30, and then by 5:30, 6, you're sitting down and having dessert.
I could also get 3 appetizers.
Yeah.
The pork belly does look good, and anyway, okay.
What's stopping you is what I'm saying.
We need a podcast just about the food.
Oh my! I would love to do a podcast just about Disney food. It's so hard to keep up with that, though. I feel like we need to live in Florida because it's constantly changing so much. So
that is
true.
But no, I mean, do it. I mean, rock some desserts. I actually think the one that you might probably be best with is maybe the Wave, which I've actually never been to. Despite
is that on that list?
It is on the list. Yeah,
that's at the Contemporary.
Yeah, I've actually never been to it, but I've heard
how do I have
so
to
many
get
people
there,
rave
though?
about it.
I'm not trying to go anywhere. I'm in the boardwalk. I'm either in the boardwalk or at the park this trip.
Are you going to not do Top of the World?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the heck I'm doing on this trip.
That's a trip for you because, I mean, either, you'd have to get on a bus or...
No, I'm in a minivan, so...
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that in a few here.
Different minivan.
Try your minivan.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. So, I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be one of those things where we're just going to wing it, and everyone will be cranky because we're winging it, or everyone will be really happy because we're winging it. I don't know.
It's funny because you say that because our trips are usually so super planned, and this past one was like it was planned, but not nearly as planned as usual. We kind of winged it, and we enjoyed winging it. It was fun. It's a little different,
Mm-hmm. Well, you can enjoy winging it when you go often. If you don't go often, it's a bad call. That's my personal opinion.
No, you're exactly right. So
I'm kind of in the middle on that, but I plan, but I also leave room for not like sticking to the plan.
Like you're not going to freak out if you deviate from the plan.
No, we there's a lot of times we'll just be standing in the park and we're like, which direction do we want to go? That way. Like,
see, when I grew up going to Disney, my mom, if she knew how to use Excel, then she probably would have had it scheduled by the minute on an Excel spreadsheet because that's how we always did Disney.
Yeah, and, that was my mom too, and we're not quite so rigid with our planning.
Yeah, I think there's a certain rebellion factor there, right? That's how you grew up, so you don't want to do it that way. It's like, I'm going to do it differently.
Yeah, I want to be original.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a really great benefit. There's some other things out there, too, actually, that are coming out, too, which is another neat thing, too. A 40% reduction in vacation point values for stays completed by September 15th of 2017. So there's not a lot of time on this. It's kind of a last-minute thing, but at the Concierge Collection resorts, which are not Disney resorts. They are resorts that are all over the country, like Tokyo, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., but ones that you can use your points for. So they're actually doing a 40% point reduction between now and the
end. Is it the RCA stuff?
Yeah. So it's part of that, which I don't know about you guys. I've never used my membership for that. I'm not saying anybody shouldn't, but I've never used it for that.
I mean, being a very, very new member, that is pretty far removed from my mind at this point. But I can definitely see, people that are, 15, 20-year members wanting to do something different. And
I would agree with you right there. I mean, that's kind of when we bought in. That was definitely one of our thoughts, right? Like when we get older and there's going to be this time frame where the kids don't have kids and they'll be too old to come with us. Or even when we're older and they have their own kids or whatever the case may be. We kind of thought we'd do it then. That was kind of our thought.
Yeah, and for me even, like I've had a look at the Concierge Collection, and there's actually a bunch that are pretty near to me because I live right on the edge of the Rockies. So, I mean, from my standpoint is I don't even I could use it to just, have like a weekend trip to one of these places and not pay for it, which is, I like the idea of that, but it doesn't trump going to Disney right now. So
yeah, that's exactly right. Like when you first get your membership, you're like, I want to use all these points at Disney. Forget everywhere else.
Yeah.
Because that's why you buy it. I mean, right? So,
yeah,
we haven't even thought about using it anywhere else. We use our points up so quickly and so often. It just.
And if I was going to do something with my points, I think I would use them, even though they say it's not the best. Which again, I don't know if this is an old wives' tale. At this point, I'd use it for a cruise.
Yeah, so the thing about the cruise, and it's always talked about, is it's just not a good use of your points. So a lot of people will actually rent out their points and then use the cash to pay for it.
It's interesting because, again, we'd have to really delve into this, but I heard, though, that's becoming something that's not necessarily always true depending on when you go and where you go anymore.
Interesting.
So
maybe we need to get one of the DVC rental people on here to talk about renting points, and then I can also delve a little bit deeper as a travel agent into those costs and figure all that out too. So
yeah.
But anyway, so that's another thing. We had a listener actually had asked us to cover this, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I think it's an interesting thing, and we kind of brought this up before a little bit, but you always hear about. Was someone just going to say something, Damon?
Nope.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought I heard you trying to jump in. So, we always kind of hear about where people can't get the rooms they want. Of course, if you're Damon, you just get whatever room you want whenever you want, like a month
Pretty
beforehand.
That's how it works for me.
Damon pays somebody off in the background somehow to get because all you ever see is people on Disney Facebook groups like, I can't get the room I want. And it's like a year ahead of time. Well, not a year. Like it's 11 months out and they can't get the room they want. But...
Yeah. I got waitlisted for a day. Come on, that was rough for me. That was a tough 12 hours.
That was a lot of nail biting for that one day.
Tough 12 hours, yeah.
Have you ever watched that show Once Upon a Time?
Yeah.
The first season, yeah.
Yeah, you know Rumpelstiltskin?
Yes.
All magic comes with a price. I feel like he's making deals with Damon or something.
Yeah, he sold his soul to Mickey, actually. Or whatever the DVC, mascot would be. But anyway, so that's neither here nor there. So anyway, we're one of the ways I actually got my wait list at Boardwalk is by analyzing the room inventory. And I know this sounds like a crazy thing to do, but if you go to dvcinfo.com, they're a really good source for this. They have a list, literally, of all of the resorts, all of the DVC resorts, including the new resort, Copper Creek. And basically, they list all of the different resorts, what size they are, square footage-wise, how many people they sleep, what kind of beds they have, and then they list how many of each room there are, right? And so I kind of mentioned this before I went on my trip, but originally I had waitlisted a Boardwalk room, a studio standard view. I'm sorry, a studio Boardwalk view is what I had waitlisted to start off. Well, then I looked at this inventory, and I saw that they only have 8 dedicated rooms that are standard. That are Boardwalk view at Boardwalk Villas. And so I was like, okay, so my chances of getting that are pretty much none, right? So they have 8 dedicated, and they have 21 that are dedicated to the lock off room. So those of you that don't know what that's all about, it's basically they can make like a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom by with the combined doors. They basically, I don't know. Am I explaining that right?
Yeah, it's 2 adjacent rooms that have a connecting door between them, so you could actually rent both rooms and make it into a larger one.
Exactly. And so if you look at the Boardwalk view of just the studio, there's only 8 dedicated ones, and then there's 21 that are set off for the lock-off ones. So that's your chances of actually getting that are pretty much zero. I mean, especially if you're only doing it a couple months out, I mean, that's a really tough get. But then if you look at Boardwalk for a preferred view, they've got 74 rooms that are dedicated and 91 that are for lock-off. So much bigger chance for a pool or garden view with the preferred view. Even standard view only has 15 dedicated and 37 that are lock-off ones. So someone asked us to cover this, and I think it's a good thing to do. If you're trying to figure out, what view should I get? If you don't care about your view, me personally, I usually don't care about my view. I care about whatever's the least amount of points.
I definitely don't care about my view.
Yeah, who cares? Right?
That's how I feel.
I don't know, Trevor, are you a big view guy?
No, but I care more about location than view. I like being close to, like, being able to get on transportation and stuff like that. So, yeah, I look more at where the actual rooms are on the resort than view, for sure.
And usually you can just get that through room requests.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're like us, we don't care when our check-in happens because we spend the first day at the park. So we always say we'd rather have our requests met than get into the room early. So just wanted to cover this a little bit because I think it's a really useful thing if you're really trying to get a room, trying to figure out which one you're going to use because, there are all sorts of different kinds of rooms at all these different resorts, and it's hard to know, first of all, the size of them, how many they sleep, all of that kind of stuff, and that's all on this sheet here. So, I hope DVC Info is okay with us plugging them on the podcast because I didn't exactly ask them, but, I'm sure they will enjoy some traffic to their site. But this is a great place to look, and you can just get a little bit more insight of how many DVC rooms there actually are. For example, there's 42 of the new dedicated ones at Copper Creek, and those are dedicated, and then 36 that are set up for lock off rooms. So it's there's lots of different options at these things, and you can really help yourself make better decisions and hopefully get your wait list. Because everybody's always asking, how do you get your wait list? Should I wait list things? And it can be it can be nerve-wracking, right? So this is your best way to figure that out. So,
and this feeds back into what we've said previously, is that you do have to be flexible because, yeah, like you can't expect that when there's only 8 rooms available that, unless you're able to book 11 months out, that you will be guaranteed those rooms every time. But yeah, these sites are perfect for just like, you just want a room. You don't care too much. So pick whatever the easiest one is, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Whichever one has the most amount of rooms, right? That gives you, that's basic math, right?
Yep.
So it gives you more of a shot there. So yeah, so thanks to the listener who wrote in about that, because I think it's a great topic to cover, especially when talking about DVC and making sure that you get your room requests and making sure you get the resort that you want, right? That's the big thing here. So unless you're Damon, who just gets whatever he wants. So Damon, do you have a 1-bedroom at Boardwalk, or is it a studio?
1 bedroom.
Okay, gotcha.
Again, I was to the point where I had to use points. Like, I had to burn points. So
aren't you losing a couple points too?
Yeah, it was like 4 or something, 6. I don't know, somewhere in that range. Yeah, again, it wasn't worth the hassle to try to do anything with them. So
you should really wander around the Boardwalk at night, because they've got like little performers that do like shows, like little magic shows and stuff like that. I know you go to bed early, but
yeah, probably past my bedtime, but we'll have to see. I'm gonna have to like save up sleep. Yeah, I'm gonna have to save up sleep so that I can actually make Animal Kingdom at night, because I have no real interest in Epcot at night. I don't think there's anything there that I really need to see at night.
Illuminations.
I've seen that before. It doesn't really. Again, we're not fireworks show people. If it's not a ride, I don't really care. So if I skipped every single show, I would be okay.
I see. I love that you're like that, because it's so different than how we do things. And I don't know, Trevor, you guys are big show people too, right?
We're actually in between. I think I'm in between both you. Is that we do love our rides. Like absolutely. My wife and I have always called it ride overdrive, because we go so long without like the gap between when we've been able to go in the past has been so long. We get there and we're like, oh my god, we got to ride everything, and we hit as many rides as we can, but then we still want to stop and watch the fireworks. We still want to check out the parades and everything. So I mean, we like both, but yeah, I mean, there's never time to do it all either.
Yeah, that's always the problem, right? There's just so much to do, and then you get to the point where it's like, oh, there's 4 nighttime shows, really kind of 5, because it's hard to do Fantasmic and the Star Wars fireworks at Hollywood Studios on the same night. So It's like, okay, now if I'm there for 7 nights, 5 of those nights are pretty much going to, if I want to see everything, going to be taken up by fireworks shows. So it makes it hard. It really does. So, and actually that leads us to talking about Trevor's favorite park, which is Disneyland and California Adventure.
Yay.
So there were some things last week we did not get into because we had a super long episode and we just didn't get into the Disneyland stuff, but there was some things announced at D23 about Disneyland as well. And we'd be, we're a Disney park show, not just a Disney World show. So we want to talk about Disneyland and California Adventure because there's some cool stuff headed there too. And I don't know, Trevor, if you want to get into those a little bit since you know that park so well, but have you watched the new Fantasmic yet on YouTube?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I'm still on the fence if I actually want to watch it all the way through because I may want to save it for the next time I'm actually there. I know I saw the new Aladdin and Jasmine flying on the carpet effect, and it's, if you've seen the area, like basically, imagine Rivers of America in Walt Disney World, like where the Liberty Bell is going around. That's the same area that Fantasmic is in. And when you think about how wide open that area is and the effects that they're doing in there, it's really, really, really impressive. So,
and it seems like it's getting pretty good reviews considering, it's whenever they change a classic, you never know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah. The thing is I don't think they changed. I mean, it's still at its core Fantasmic, so it didn't really lose anything, right? They just added to it, which, I mean, really, who could argue with add-ons being a bad thing? Or, well, I guess there's a few examples. I won't go into the Tiki Room.
Yeah. We should just do a whole episode about about like really big Imagineering fails.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We could get into some fun ones, but
maybe someday if we do a spin-off podcast just about Imagineering, then we can get into that.
Yeah. So going back to the things that are changing. So California Adventure. That park it's definitely had its struggles, but I really like the things that they're doing with it. Paradise Pier was meant to be like a Santa Monica Pier recreation, which doesn't really work when Santa Monica is like really close.
That was kind of the whole problem with California Adventure in the first place, right?
It was, yeah. It was, you're going to California to see California Adventure. So, I mean, they've gotten rid of a lot of that. And really, Paradise Pier was the last big remnant and the last big reminder. And the fact that they're changing it to Pixar Pier, I think, is a really good thing. And it really jives well with the fact that Toy Story Midway Mania is already on the pier. So that'll all just basically blend everything together, and it won't be quite as jarring, because when you look at it right now, it's you've got this pier Midway thing set up, and then you've got Toy Story, which is kind of fitting into that theme, but it's still like really the only thing there that was Disney, and then more pier. Like it just didn't fit. So I'm glad that they're doing that.
I have to say my biggest disappointment probably from all of D23 was that Paint the Night was not coming to Disney World and instead just moving to California Adventure. I'm sad, but at the same time, I'm happy that at least Paint the Night is still running, because I mean, in the back of my mind, when they stopped it, I was like, oh, are they gonna take one of the best shows I've seen in years and kill it and reinvent it again? But no, I mean, having it over in California Adventure is not a bad thing by any means. And honestly, I think they actually have more space there to do it too, because the footprint of Disneyland is actually a lot more compact than California Adventure. California Adventure's got a little bit more, because it's a newer park, it was built like pathways are wider and stuff like that. Built with, traffic in mind and, parades in mind.
Yeah, there's a few choke points in Disneyland proper, like around like where the Matterhorn and the teacups are. There's really not a lot of space there. And you'll have people crammed on either side and the parade going through. So I can see why they did that.
That's kind of rough. I find it really funny that when we were talking about the rumor of Paint the Night moving to Disney World, we were like pretty sure it was going to happen, and we were so wrong about that. And then all the ones that we write off as never going to happen, then they do happen.
Yeah, I think maybe I need to adjust my Spidey sense on those.
Well, speaking of Spidey sense, that's a good transition
like
to Marvel Land, I guess we'll call it, being announced, sort of.
Yeah, and again, Guardians of the Galaxy got its the Tower of Terror remake, which I haven't actually heard anything really negative about it. And again, that area is it's kind of on the back of between Bugs Land and Buena Vista Street. And when you walk up there right now, it's like there's nothing there. There's not even like theming. They've just got like walls up and stuff like that. And that was even before, they announced this. There was just these walls, and it just seemed kind of weird. So
I'm lazy.
yeah. I'm glad that this is actually happening. As much as some people don't. They say, oh, we don't want that, but it actually gels, I think, with Buena Vista Street quite well. Purely because Buena Vista Street, even though it's a 1920s rendition of LA, towards the back it still kind of goes into almost that New York, like kind of New York style. So like with like Spider-Man and the Avengers and stuff like that, I could see how they could transition into that pretty easily.
Do you find it interesting at all that they didn't really announce a lot with it? They just kind of announced that it's going to exist.
I think that it's still a ways out, and I think it was more a matter of they said it because they just didn't. Yeah, they just didn't want people thinking that they were ignoring Marvel again.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and really that's not their fault either, because they're still
so handcuffed.
Yeah, and actually I should mention this. I finally went and saw. Oh, thanks, Radar. I finally went and saw Spider-Man Homecoming last weekend, and I'm excited that Marvel Studios did it, but Sony still had their label all over top of it, which kind of made me a little sad that they still have their claws in Spider-Man in some way.
One of these days, Disney's going to get all that stuff back. They gotta at some point, right?
Yeah, they'll buy it out when it hits critical mass and it's like up there with Star Wars. They'll buy it back.
I feel like Disney should have like purposely tanked that movie and devalued the asset.
Okay. They couldn't have done worse than Sony did on some of the Spider-Man movies.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get Damon back in the conversation when we talk about Max Pass.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anything that's Disneyland doesn't really concern me too much. You guys just wake me up when you're past that.
So, well, hold on a sec though, because this is an interesting development, I think.
Yeah.
So, Damon, do you know about Max Pass? Have you heard about this? I
do.
What's that?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I do know about it.
So Damon, I mean, Trevor, maybe you can explain it a little bit better than I can because you've been there. But basically they had the old Fast Pass system going on for the longest time, and now they're introducing this Max Pass, which is going to be a charge for the Fast Passes. It's $10 per day per person. But it's pretty much, I mean, it's kind of the same as the version in Disney World. It's the same concept, but you're not scheduling them ahead of time.
Yeah, so the big differences is that it actually lumps FastPass and Memory Maker together. So for people in Florida, it's the same as getting your FastPasses and Memory Maker, and it's like a weird divide because in Florida, you buy your tickets and your FastPass comes with it, whereas in California, you buy your tickets and then you have to get the FastPass doesn't come with it. But I can also see why they're not doing this because I actually experienced this with the PhotoPass because the PhotoPass has actually been like this for a while. When I went on my last trip last year to California, we did have to do the daily pay for our PhotoPass pictures, which isn't a bad thing because you can really look at
how much is it daily? Not to interrupt you. What's the daily pay for that?
Back then, they've been fiddling with the price for a while. So it used to be you would pay like $80 for the whole week, and then they put it to like $30 a day, and it's been all over the place. When I did it, it worked out to about $30 a day. But the trick is that not every day necessarily you're going and doing like Memory Maker shots or ride photos or whatever. And so we made it work by the days that we really want to have photos. Like we made sure we stopped and we hit every Memory Maker person. We hit a bunch of rides with photos and stuff like that. And then you just do the one-time pay and you're good. So you kind of have to play the system a little bit differently with that. And again, the reason that I can see why they did it this way is that Disneyland gets a lot more local traffic, whereas Disney World is that self-contained resort. So with the local traffic, if they made the Fast Pass system the same, where it was included with the ticket and you could book like 60 days out, anybody with an annual pass in California would flip their lid because a lot of the locals, they just want to walk up and go when they go. Like they don't want to have to plan ahead, and so I kind of like the fact that they're keeping this as the Fast Pass per day thing, because then it gives them a reason to say you can't book it ahead of time. You just got to pay for it when you get there.
Yeah, it's kind of it's an interesting concept, but I definitely don't see them doing this at Disney World. I just don't think it would work the same way at all. And a lot of people will go, oh, it's like a money grab. I don't think it is a money grab. I think it's more economics, right?
The thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Disney they always think, oh, Disney needs money. No, Disney doesn't actually budget in money. They budget in space and they budget in capacity because money is not an issue for them anymore. Like, sorry, if anyone wants to argue this with me, money is not an issue for Disney. But if you look at Disneyland, space is at a premium there. Getting people in and out of the park is at a premium. They do have to do things in such a way to control how many people come in. And this, as much as, people say, oh, they just want my money, is that on the flip side, this is actually deterring people, because they don't want to run the park at capacity every single day. As much as they want everyone's money, running the park at capacity every day is an absolute nightmare and would be unsustainable. So
Yeah, and it makes for unhappy guests. It makes for guests that don't want to come back. Disney knows this. You know, they know that when the parks are busy and the lines are long, that people are not happy. You know,
exactly.
And you know, it's funny because I was talking to a coworker about Disney, and she was saying, you know, oh, my husband won't let us go back there because we went and we just waited in lines all day long. And I was like, that's a perfect example of why Disney keeps raising ticket prices.
Yep.
Because, you know, it's a supply and demand thing. You raise the prices, less people come into the parks, people are happier, they spend more money, and you know, that's the whole thing they're trying to accomplish. It's way more complicated than just a money grab. That's not what it is.
Exactly. And then there's those of us on the edge that are trying to game the system so that we can take advantage of it regardless of the price increases.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so really quickly here, just a couple more before we move on to different things here. Pixar Fest is going to be a new fireworks show at Disneyland, which is pretty cool. And then they're also going to be doing a Halloween celebration at Cars Land, which I think is pretty cool too.
Yeah, and that just brings over the Halloween party from Disneyland proper, and that looks really cool. I like how, again, you know, in typical Disney fashion, is that it'll be Halloween, but like, you know, they made like the all the ornaments and stuff out of like car parts, so
really themed it up.
Exactly. It fits in the world, so I think that'll be a lot of fun.
I'll be interested to see if they do anything like that with Pandora for like the holidays, if they decorate it at all. I'm going to guess no.
Probably not, because I don't think that would...
Doesn't fit the theme.
Yeah, it's not canon in their world, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it just wouldn't. It can work in Cars because, you know, okay, well, all the cars, you know, they want to celebrate Halloween too, and they can set all that stuff. It's like you can't just go like, oh, the Na'vi, like, you know, they want to celebrate Christmas. Like it doesn't make any sense.
We brought them Halloween.
yeah, exactly. No. It makes zero sense. So that brings us, and hopefully we can wake Damon up here. Damon. We're going to talk
about Disneyland. Yeah?
Minivan.
We're talking about minivans now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
right, I'm back involved.
So we got some more information about the minivans. They've officially launched, kind of, sort of. And so what I mean, kind of, sort of, they're still testing. They're only at a few resorts, but lucky for Damon, they're at Boardwalk Villas. So he's going to get to try this out when he goes.
This is like kind of anti my, you know, saving money thing. But for the better good, I'll try.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And so for those that don't know, you know, it's funny. We've been calling it Disney Uber forever. And the funny thing is it ends up that Disney is partnering with Lyft to make this service available, which makes sense. They have an infrastructure already. They didn't have to build the new app, right? But to use this service... Go ahead, sorry.
I think a lot of the Uber stuff, I mean, there's a lot going on internally with Uber. A lot of bad PR going on with Uber. And I think that was a little bit of a distance for them as well. So, again, based on the app, not app, things like that, I just think it was one of those things where they had to stay away from the PR nightmare that Uber is starting to become, unfortunately.
Well, and it also kind of seems like Lyft is a little more willing to do like these partnership things, right? So, like, they did something with Taco Bell, I think, at some point. They've done a couple different things like this. And to my knowledge, I can't think of Uber doing anything like that. I mean, maybe they have, and I just don't know. But
true.
But what I thought was interesting about this is if you go on the Lyft app and you're at Disney World, that on the app, the cars actually show up as the design of the cars. So,
okay.
You know, so like usually if you go on Lyft or if you go on Uber, you know, it's just like a generic looking car. But when you're using the minivans, it actually has the little icon is actually the minivan icon.
Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty easy to, you know, tag them in their system because they have a tracker in the vehicle, right? So, I mean, it's smart, right? Because then people, you can still have Lyft operating in the area proper, but then you can also see the minivans too.
Yeah, because I'm not getting in something that's not driven by Disney employees. So
yeah,
I want to see that little minivan pop up. I want that icon popping up. And the other thing is, I guess the minivans are also limited time-wise too, right? So they had to do something anyway because of that stipulation. So I think that made sense to separate them in that regard.
Oh yeah, you know what I find interesting though about doing it through Lyft is I've seen some screenshots of people testing it out, and it'll show the minivan and it'll show $20 because, you know, it's a flat fee for $20, but then it'll show other Lyft drivers and it'll be like $7, and it's like price wise, obviously it's much more, right? So, but like you said, if it's not a Disney employee, then I don't want to do it, right?
Yeah, I don't want to have to worry about that PR nightmare that Uber is dealing with. Thank you very much. I'm okay paying $20 to feel comfortable and safe.
Like I said earlier with the Rumpelstiltskin thing, all magic comes with a price, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and all the reviews I've read too are that the drivers that they have are super knowledgeable, like really knowledgeable about everything. And I think actually the biggest benefit of these, and which make it, I think, worth its weight in gold, is that they will drop you off in places that no other place can. So Lyft can't drop you off at, Uber can't drop you off at. And I think the biggest example I've seen is for Hoop-de-Doo Review.
Yeah. Yeah, we mentioned that last week, is that they can get past because normally Lyft can only drop off at the front entrance to Wilderness Lodge, and then you got to take a shuttle to get back to where Hoop-de-Doo is, whereas Minivan can just go straight past that because it's still a Disney operated thing.
Yeah, and I think that makes it, so much more valuable, especially if you're staying at one of like the sprawling resorts like Old Key West or Saratoga, where they'll bring you right to your room pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, that's worth the convenience alone. So
yeah, at the end of the day, when I'm done walking, just I will pay the extra $10 for someone to drive me.
That's totally true. That's what this is really for, right? It's like after the fireworks and you're like, ugh, like I don't want to walk anymore. I don't want to take the stupid bus. I don't want to wait in line. I just want to get back to my room, take my shoes off, and go to sleep.
Now, the only thing about that is that you have to. I mean, you almost don't want it to become common knowledge that this is the thing either, right? Because as much as, the buses and everything get
they'll
packed.
just make more of them, right? So it almost doesn't matter. There's always going to be enough minivans, I think, at least.
Well, yeah, and that's
it's
probably
just
why they have to have a lot more cast members to drive them too, right?
At $20 every 10 minutes, I think they'll be okay with that.
And that's probably why the price point is $20, right? It's again the supply and demand thing, right? So if you made it $10, then everyone's going to use it.
I mean, I guess that's the thing is, you're not, and people commenting on, well, it's way more expensive is, Lyft these are independent people working for Lyft using their own vehicles, and they get part of the money. Lyft gets a chunk of the money. The minivan, though, is you have a Disney employee that Disney pays for because they have their own cost with their employees, and it's a Disney vehicle. So it kind of makes sense that, they want to charge more because they're not doing this for free, right?
Yeah, and it makes total sense. And so much of what you pay for at Disney is the service, right? Is the customer service and, knowing that you're going to get the Disney level customer service. Kind of like what you're talking about, Damon, where it's like, unless it's a Disney driver, I don't want it, right? And so you get that, high level of skill. You get the person that knows what they're talking about, that you can ask questions of. And, of course, access to places that, you couldn't get to. And the other thing I really liked about it, too, I don't know if you guys have ever used Uber or Lyft or whatever, but it's such a pain to find out which car is yours. And I noticed that in screenshots I've seen of the app that they actually have the number of the car on the app, and also it shows up, it's on the car as well. So it makes it much easier to know which car is yours, which is kind of nice. So the other thing I thought was kind of cool about it, and I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but it actually will take you multiple places in one trip, right? And so what I mean by that, if you wanted to stop at a gas station on your way in between Magic Kingdom and your resort, you could stop at the gas station and get some drinks, or it'll stop other places that are on Disney property, all in one trip, which I thought was kind of cool.
So I know with taxis they'll do that, but they charge you extra. So is this? They don't charge you extra for that?
From what I've read, no. It's all part of that $20 fee. So, yeah.
That's interesting.
Can they drive me back home? Can they drive me to North Carolina?
I think they can only stay on property.
If you ask really, really, really nice.
yeah, ask them really nice. Maybe slip them a 20 or something. So yeah, and also just one last thing with those, I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures, but a couple people have taken pictures like of cast member lots where you can see where they have all the minivan parks, and kind of like Damon said, there are a ton of these cars, an absolute ton of them, and also they do have handicap accessible ones too. So if you have, and that actually, if I had somebody with me in a wheelchair on a scooter, it would be so worth it to use those vans because it is such a pain to get on those buses and to strap in and everything. That's another big benefit for folks that have, somebody in a wheelchair with them or on a scooter.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah. So that's enough about the minivans. Hopefully Damon, you're going to use it when you're there and give us a review when you get back.
I am sure going to try.
All right.
But if it's my last $20 for gas, then I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, it goes through the app, so you're good.
Even if you don't use it, Damon, I'm actually planning to use it on my trip for getting from the Poly to Hoop-de-Doo anyway. So either way, we'll have our review of it.
Well, let's hope it's rolled out to the Poly by then, right?
Yeah, true. But
I would think they're towards the end of the test, right?
Again, I'm sure if I asked nice, they would magically show up there.
Maybe. Hopefully. So one of the things that kind of came out of nowhere, we've been talking about this for a while, actually. I think it was one of our first podcasts. We were like, why the heck are they not taking down the old, facades in Hollywood studios? And in fact, it looks like they're improving them, right? Didn't we talk about that in a really early podcast?
Yeah, that was a couple months ago for sure.
Yeah, and so now we know why. And I didn't really see this coming, to be totally honest. And there really wasn't that many rumors about what they're doing, but all of a sudden now they've constructed something called Grand Avenue, is what they're calling it. And basically, it's a new area that's being constructed by right by the Muppets Courtyard, right with those facades, where it's themed to downtown LA. It doesn't really have any attractions. It really looks like it's just going to be like kind of a giant walkway to get you to Star Wars Land, right? But it will have a bar, which is kind of cool. In the old Writer's Stop, there's going to be a bar called Baseline Tap House. And it looks pretty neat.
Now, I guess my only question, I know they said it was downtown LA, but is that current year downtown LA or like old school, like Buena Vista Street?
That's a good question. I don't know if that was actually stated. I think so. From the article I'm reading here, it says modern day LA coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios. So maybe that's what it's all about. Yeah, it's a really interesting looking space because it looks like they actually, in the concept art, they left kind of the steel beams that were holding up the actual facade, and it seems like they just put a roof on it, and it's kind of giving it like a cool like industrial feel to it,
Now, this is also the same area that they did the Osborne lights in before too, right?
Yeah, definitely part of it. Yeah, that was part of where it was.
So I gotta wonder if, because if it's not going to hold any attractions or anything, I mean, obviously they wouldn't just build this wide open area for people to kind of wander around without anything there. So maybe the intention is it's a feeder into Star Wars Land, but also somewhere for them to host event-like things, or
like
more
street
fireworks
shows. Streetmosphere.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is actually my favorite Disney Parks term, is streetmosphere. That's the official term for all the people that are performing out on the streets, is streetmosphere.
The random people that you run into. Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen the Jameters over at Epcot?
Not live, no, but yeah, I've seen videos of them, and I've always loved stuff like that. Like even going back, I actually, on the first trip I had with my wife, she came with my family. We actually ran to some street performers in Frontierland, and it was a sheriff and a robber, like the sheriff was chasing down the robber, and they actually got us involved and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean those kind of things are the best, because you're not. I know that like some of them are scheduled shows and stuff like that, but it's just like that. You're walking by and then it's like, hey, what's that? And
it feels random.
Yeah.
So, Tom, I did run into them when I was there.
Did you enjoy the Jameters?
Yeah.
I mean, and for those of you that don't know, they have a bunch of tools, and they're supposed to be like the janitors, and they play music with their tools and garbage cans, and it's pretty cool. It's neat.
Yeah.
like
it's
a
one of
drum
those fun
line.
things, you know. It's like you randomly find the Dapper Dans walking around, you know, Disney World, you know, down Main Street there. So anyway, so what do you guys think of this? I mean, I'm kind of psyched to have a cool bar in Hollywood Studios.
No interest.
No interest at all?
No.
Tom, I think you're the only one here who drinks.
I really don't, though. That's the funny thing. I'm not a drinker at all. I think it's cool, though.
Except
I
that
like
one time.
I like the look of it. I like the atmosphere of it. You know, I'd go in there and have a drink maybe, but it just seems like a neat place. You know,
Well, there's going to be shops in there, though, right?
All they've really talked about so far is the tap house.
Oh, I thought I heard shops. If they put shops in, which is, again, I don't know if I'm dreaming it or I really saw it, but if they put shops in, okay, maybe a little interesting. Other than that, I'm not really that interested.
So you're thinking kind of like how Main Street is, where you've got just a big or like endless shops up and down. I could see that. Yeah,
they did something like that. Maybe a little interesting as of right now. Not so interesting.
And maybe
the only thing is it keeps, as Hollywood Studios gets away from Hollywood and into full immersion, it gives it some sort of Hollywood feel for its namesake.
Yeah.
Well, until they change the name anyway, right?
What's it, Star Wars Studios?
I don't know what they're going to change it to. One of my favorite stories I've ever read was that Bob Iger was at a shareholder meeting, and like a 5-year-old kid came up to the microphone and asked if they were going to change the name of Hollywood Studios. And he goes, yeah, we're going to change the name. And then he turns to like one of his executives and goes, we announced that already, right? And they're like, no.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was a couple years ago, and they still haven't announced it. So maybe they haven't figured out what they're going to call it yet. But
yeah.
But that's besides the point. So, a couple odds and ends here. Just, you know, as we're kind of wrapping up here, the Disney vacation accounts have been discontinued. Have you guys ever used this?
No.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I know a lot of people are upset about it.
And I can understand why they're upset, but you know what? There's this thing, it's called a bank.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like I already have accounts.
And the thing is, banks don't charge you to have another account, so just get another account and label it in your little drop-down DVC account or you know, Disney account.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you on this. I don't understand necessarily the purpose of them. I don't.
But you know why? I'm gonna get on a little rant here. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're all in this whole, you know, charge everything, don't save money, this, that, and the other thing. And I think people are lazy, and it's a way for... I mean, I'm going to catch a lot of hate on this.
We're finally going to get our first hate mail after this.
Yeah, I think we are. I just think it's people being lazy, and, you know, I don't understand it. Like I said, I understand why people need it, because people are lazy, right? But I'm gonna take heat on this one. But that's how I feel. I'm sorry. Listen, open up another account. Open it up at a different bank. If you're so concerned that, you know what, you may touch that money, open it up at a different bank and shred your ATM card, right?
So,
there's a lot of ways to approach it.
The thing is, too, I think the thing a lot of people liked was that, you know, it auto took the money out of your account. And you can set those up on your own savings accounts. And you can also set... Like we actually had an account for a while that we had it set up so that we couldn't actually take money out of it unless we went into the bank to do it, which really, you know,
shred your ATM card. Yeah. It works the same. And listen, I do want to say, though, again, I'm sure people are using it. And if people have a legitimate reason why it's better than what Trevor and myself are saying, by all means, let us know. Maybe I'm missing something. I'll go as far as that to put a branch out there. I'll throw the olive branch out there in that regard.
Well, the one thing it did have rewards to it. So I think it was every $1,000 you put in it, Disney would put like $20 in. Am I right about that?
You know what that's called? It's called an interest-bearing account.
Yeah, that was the other thing I said, too. It's like, just get a savings account. Like, do an online savings account even. You could just go to, like, Ally Bank or something and get an online savings account. It'll give you the same thing.
Yeah, it really, it's... I know people want it because it's a Disney, but, yeah, it's not the be-all to end-all. And of all the things Disney to lose, it's not... Yeah, it's not
a terrible
something
loss.
I would miss. Yeah,
yeah. It's and that's the thing. Like, Disney canceled it because nobody was using it. So there can't be that many people that are that upset about this, because they obviously they said we canceled it because nobody was really participating anymore. So, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about that, because that was something that was happening in the Disney universe here, just recently here, just this past week. So we'll move on from that, but we said our piece on that. So we'll probably get our first hate mail about that, and we'll be sure to read that in the next episode. Just so you know, if you do send us hate mail, we might read it.
Yeah, mean tweets, right?
Oh,
send us a tweet. We'll definitely read those. Mean tweets, definitely.
We never read the nice. We should read all the nice emails we get, so people know that people like us. Or is that too vain? Is that like really like? I don't know.
Well, no, I think we could. I mean, honestly, for all those people that are listening to this that have sent in, we have read your emails, and we've talked about them amongst ourselves, and we absolutely appreciate everything that you guys have said. And maybe we should start doing that, just so that people know that we do appreciate them.
Yeah, and we do try to respond to every single one of them. So, I mean, we try to respond to every message we get on Facebook, every email we get, because we so appreciate every one of you guys that listens, because, the three of us started this thing kind of out of the blue, and the fact that we've built an audience over 10 episodes and people are really digging what we're doing is just, like, the three of us, we just can't believe it. Our minds are blown every week by it, We are growing by leaps and bounds every single month, and we just couldn't appreciate it more from you guys. So keep it coming, man. I mean, we love hearing the compliments. It just makes us feel like it drives us. It makes us want to keep doing this thing and doing it better and better every time. So thank you guys. But anyway, that's a little off track. Just a couple more things here before we finish up. We talked a little bit about Mission Space and talked about how it's opening back up again on August 13th. One of the things I thought that was interesting about this is they have lowered the height requirement for it. So now more kids can get on this ride because they are including booster seats, which will enable them to lower the height requirement. So
you can scare them easier or younger.
I think I could be wrong about this, and I'm sure we'll get an email if I am. But I think they might only be lowering it for the green side.
That would make sense, because the green doesn't really move a lot. So
I think
I mean that's good, right? Because I'm sure there'd be a lot of young kids that love the idea of being an astronaut and going into space and all that. So
yeah, I think it's a great thing that they actually did that. I think it'll be nice, to do that, and maybe Damon will go on it when he's there. But I actually really like. I don't know if you guys have ever done this before. I really like.
Does Tom actually go on this? You go on this?
I do, but not the orange side. Are you out of your mind?
Orange side represent over here.
I'll do the green. I'll do the green team.
Yeah, I'm the only one that hasn't been on the rough side. So, again, I've been on no sides.
The green one's not bad at all. You could definitely deal with. It's definitely not nearly as like turbulent as like a Star Tours is. It's much smoother. But it is, if you're claustrophobic, it's a terrible idea for you to go on that, because it is really very, very enclosed. But I always annoy the heck out of my wife on that ride, because I'm always flipping switches and pressing buttons when I'm not supposed to.
My brother and I actually went on it with just the two of us, and we played hard mode, where we both managed 2 consoles each.
That's awesome. I actually
it was hard.
I'm sure it was. I actually like the thing in the exit where there's like games that you can play, and there's like 2 different teams. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, the little I mean they're kind of dated video games.
You mean like the stuff that they have on that ride that Tom won't go on. What's that called again? Space Mountain? Oh yeah, okay.
No, not arcade.
What did you say, Trevor?
No, it's not an arcade. It's just
no. They have the things that, remember the things in line at Space Mountain?
No, this is like a race, and there's like 2 different teams, and there's 2 different teams, and then 2 different sets of teams on each team. So like one team has to do one thing, and then another team has to do something else to advance the race. It's actually pretty fun.
Is this on the ride, or is this outside of the ride?
It's after you get off the ride. It's like their mission control.
It's kind of like
Space Mountain, though. They have those games where you play teams. You have to dock all the spaceships. Like, do you guys just not know what I'm talking about, or like?
I haven't been there in 10 years. So.
Okay, so anyway, there's something similar where like you as you go up to Space Mountain, right? So what they did to kind of kill the line time, there's these big screens on the wall, and you get to play this game against multiple people where you're docking ships.
It's kind of like that, yeah. I mean, it's similar to that for sure. But it's
it hurts my feelings that you don't know about that, because
I
go through the line and chicken out at the end. Something.
No, I swear that next time I go, I'm going on it. I swear to you, it's going to happen.
When are you going?
What's that?
When are you going next?
So I actually, at this moment, do not have a Disney trip planned because we had talked about taking a break next year. So, but then again, if we want to go in 2019, it's probably going to be impossible to get a resort anywhere other than your home resort. So. Because of Star Wars, obviously, right? But so we don't have a trip scheduled right now. But the next time, I swear I will go on it.
Well, let me know, because I'll coordinate mine with you so I can take you by the hand onto the ride.
Oh, well, no, if Tom's going on it, I'm going too.
Well, I think
I got to see it in person.
How great would we could change our profile picture on Facebook to the three of us in one of those cars, together doing something?
Oh, yeah.
That would be pretty awesome.
It'd be the best.
Yeah, that would
I
be.
feel like
Great.
I'm close enough now. Again, and I don't know how Tom feels about this because we're literally 2 hours away from each other. But like, I would go like down for a weekend. Like if I knew Trevor was coming, because again, his trip's a little bit longer, right? Like it's a little bit longer for him. I would be like, I'm going down to see Trevor, and we're gonna get Tom to go on Space Mountain.
Oh, I'm totally saying. My wife and I actually talked about next year just doing a long weekend. So, yeah.
All right, Trevor, you're gonna have to book 2 trips next year. Sorry, man.
Well, we're going in May, so.
Yeah, I can't do May. Kids still in school.
Nah.
I can't either for the same reason, except my wife's
if you want to go again in like July or August, I'm game.
I won't have the points for that though.
Tom said he's going to let you borrow some of his points because he's got so many.
I don't have any. I used all my points. All right. Well, now we're making vacation plans on the podcast. So, one last thing, one last rumor we want to do here. Because we always like a good rumor. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, I guess, but because D23 just happened, the rumor mill's a little dry because they pretty much announced everything they're doing. So there's still some rumors out there, but just and there's still a lot of details we're waiting on, but there's a weird kind of rumor out there, and I actually don't remember this thing, and I don't know if any of you guys do, but there was a holiday show. I don't want to call it a show, but it was kind of in the same vein as the Osborne Lights at Epcot, called the Lights of Winter, and it was on that bridge.
Am I the only one that doesn't know what these Osborne Lights are?
What?
What are they? What are we talking about?
It was a.
You must feel the same way I feel about Tom and Space Mountain.
That's exactly right.
So basically they covered like every square inch of every building a lot, like on
for
that.
Christmas?
It was a Christmas thing, and then they actually it was like those videos you see on YouTube where people synchronize the lights to a song on their house. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that, but it's like an entire city block.
See, we're banned from going at Christmas time. My wife, like when she was growing up, she went with like her dad and her sister, and her dad and sister got sick, so she's like 14 years old walking around Disney on Christmas. So like we're banned from ever going at that time.
I thought you were going to say because of the crowds.
Too bad.
No.
Well, the good thing for you is the Osborne Lights are gone. So
yeah, but they're supposedly replacing it with something else. I know they did this Jingle Bell Bam thing last year, but I wasn't really feeling it.
Yeah, it was based on that. What was it? Prep and Landing? Is that what the name of the short was?
Yeah.
It wasn't a short. It was more of a like.
No, there's two 30-minute specials, my friend, and they're awesome.
Are they really? I never saw them.
No, they're good.
So, okay.
No, they're good.
Yeah.
The first one's far better than the second, but they're good.
I'll have to check those out. But yeah, so they made a nighttime show based on that. But what this is kind of like, it's like a lighted gateway. Like if you Google Lights of Winter, you can kind of see what it looks like. But what I find interesting about this rumor, it's not based on a whole lot. So some people think it's going to come back this year. And the reason why they think it's going to come out this year is that Disney released a special edition pin that has Mickey and Minnie on it in the background, what looks like the Lights of Winter. So some people are speculating that because they're releasing a pin with that on there, they're going to do that this year. That just seems kind of shady to me.
That's a bit of a stretch, I think. But you know what? Maybe Maybe I should flip around my thoughts on this because I'm probably wrong again.
I mean, seriously, every time we predict something, it's like the opposite. Except for the gondolas.
Yeah.
You got the gondolas right.
Yeah, I know, but I mean that's not a great track record. I guess the thing is like again, going back to Epcot is due for some updates because Illuminations has been around for a long time. Maybe we'll start seeing some of these things as filler when they decide to shut down Illuminations for the next big thing.
Yeah, or, just kind of replacing this and having like a holiday, presence at night. So they have some sort of nighttime light show of some sort. But if you haven't gone during the holidays, by the way, it's pretty amazing to go to Disney during the holidays. The decorations are ridiculous. So definitely do it once in your life, but don't go the week of Christmas. That's the worst idea you could ever possibly have. If you want to not be able to walk in Magic Kingdom or Epcot or really even anywhere, go ahead and do that.
If you want something really neat that I've seen on a couple of YouTube videos is try to actually plan your trip for like right after Halloween because
Perfect.
They're like in that first week after Halloween, they transition from Halloween to Christmas and the change is literally overnight. So you can like walk in there one day and it'll be all pumpkins and everything. And then the next day, Christmas trees, lights and all that kind of stuff. So something to think about.
Definitely. That's a really cool time to go if you can do it, if you can make it happen. So anything else you guys want to talk about before we go here? Damon, anything else you want to mention before your trip?
No. Like I said, I'll let you know when we get back, I guess. Wait, I'm on wrap-up today, too, huh?
Yes, you are. And make sure you post some pictures, too, to Welcome Home Podcast, too, so people can see your vacay.
That is true. I definitely will do that, especially me and Pandora eating. I'm just going to have food. My whole thing's going to be food.
Hey, that's okay. People like pictures of food, right?
That's
Foodie
true.
podcast.
So again, if we've gotten anything wrong, which we tend to do, or you're mad about my opinion about the vacation accounts, feel free to email us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. Again, like they said, if you send us something nice, we'll probably read it. We're going to start reading those, I guess. That would actually be interesting to do, and we would appreciate that. Again, if you're looking for a little bit more information about us, you can go to welcomehomepodcast.com. And again, if anyone has any questions, comments, or anything that you need to correct us on, feel free to send us those. Again, when we get questions, it kind of sparks our conversation as well. And again, it's always nice to have somebody else's opinion. So please feel free to send those in. Also, if you could like us, follow us, and share our stuff. For Facebook, it's at Welcome Home Podcast. For Twitter, it's at Welcome Home Pod. On Instagram, it's at Welcome Home Pics. And please, give us reviews whenever you can. That would be great. It helps, boost us and get us out there to more people. So that would be great. Tom?
Yeah, if you like us, the best thing you can possibly do for us is give us a review on iTunes. So please do that.
You hear how he slipped about YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So if you feel that you need to see us or see something about us and need us on YouTube, feel free to send that in too.
I don't know. I do this show in my underwear, so I don't know if anybody really wants to YouTube.
I have a puppet, which would be great if we could all get custom puppets. I actually had a custom puppet made. Now I'm totally off topic here. We all get custom Disney puppets. We will do a YouTube with custom Disney puppets. Please, we got to get to. Wait, hold on. How many people have to subscribe? I think our Facebook at 10,000 likes. I'll get us all puppets. There you go. 10,000.
We only need 9,800 more then.
There you go.
I prefer Muppets. Like if I could have a Muppet of myself, that is
even better.
Right?
We can do that. I know people. Now I know people.
That's fantastic. That's all I want is a Muppet of myself. That's all I ever want in my life. All right. So let's wrap this thing up. Don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. We are releasing on Mondays these days, so keep a lookout for us coming out on Mondays. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, just any place you can find podcasts, that's where we are. And just one last reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions expressed on this show are our own. So please consult a DVC representative or a cast member or, somebody that, your minivan driver. Maybe ask them. They probably know more than we do. So You can always ask them for information. But we here give you our opinions and thoughts, and we don't always have the correct information. So make sure that you ask somebody that does. You can find me on PrinceCharmingVacations.com for all of your Disney vacation planning needs. And Damon,
you can find me at bsckids.com for all your Disney Channel, Disney XD, and Disney Junior needs. There you go.
Disney Junior needs too.
Hey, listen, Mickey has a show on Disney Junior.
Well, there you go. Right. Trevor, did you have anything you want to mention?
No, I'm the only one who doesn't have any awesome websites that I can refer you guys to.
You should just make something up. But thank you guys for listening to Welcome Home Podcast. We appreciate you sticking with us and listening to us. Like I said, we really enjoyed that you guys are listening and enjoying us. So, like Damon said, we love when we get emails. So, and many of the topics that we talk about on this show are from your emails. So please keep them coming. So join us next time on Welcome Home for more Disney Parks discussion and, of course, more Disney Vacation Club talk. And we hope to see y'all real soon. And if you're in Disney World next week, say hi to Damon.
I'll have a golden button.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.